Indiana's Republican primaries that concluded this week with Trump-backed candidates overcoming incumbent Republican state senators. These are backed challengers who were contesting these Senate seats because those incumbent senators had opposed Trump on his redistricting demand.
Those Republicans probably voted with Trump 99% of the time. They opposed him on one thing, and that got him voted out of office. The story here is not Trump as the kingmaker, Republicans who are putting their head in the sand and just hoping that we don't get our ass kicked.
I think the story was incredibly revealing and really worth paying attention to. In a way, on the surface, as you said, it shouldn't seem that surprising because these are low turnout primary elections. They usually draw well under 30% of registered voters. And in the 2022 and 2024 cycles, Trump-backed candidates won over 80% of contested GOP primaries across the country. So in a way, this is a dog bites man story. Yeah, like Trump-backed candidates win Republican primaries. But what's really revealing about it is that it shows just how stuck the Republican Party is with Trump. So they are tied to a sinking ship. That's what this whole story shows, is just how stuck Republicans are and are going to continue to be until Trump leaves the scene.
ICE is back in the news. There's a Washington Post story that says internal ICE records reveal widespread use of force in detention centers. The reports detail how guards have increasingly used chemical agents, physical tactics on detainees. Tom Homan is threatening to flood New York City with ICE agents in direct response to Kathy Hochul pushing laws to restrict ICE cooperation. And now Homan is openly promising large-scale mass deportation operations and expanding arrests. To me, this is a 6-month out from the election story. Immigration is a base issue.
I think it's also about a monomaniacal obsession among certain members of the Trump administration, Stephen Miller most notably, to go after the immigrant issue and to militarize it and damn the torpedoes. This has been both disastrous from a human standpoint, from a policy standpoint, and disastrous from a political standpoint. The fact that's not holding them back shows that there is a kind of quasi-religious obsession on the part of certain members of this administration. And it also happens to align with the politics that you're talking about, where as unpopular as the actions of ICE under Trump have been with the general public, with independents, with swing voters, they are motivational to the base, and they are all in on their base. It's the only move they have left politically. And you can simultaneously see things like, wow, this accelerated training program wasn't really a training program. We're dropping that because that was a terrible idea. 780 incidents in which ICE facility staff used physical force or chemical agents. That's really bad. On the other hand, at the same time, they're talking about expanding ICE deployments to New York. And I don't think they're that upset, Matt, about these statistics coming out, because for a certain segment of their base, abusing migrants is the point. The cruelty is the point. And politically, that's what they want out of it. It's really horrifying, but I think that's the truth.
Trump has decided his Hail Mary pass is go back to base politics and see what you can do. You throw out the mass deportations, you throw out going into New York because you don't really care about the Washington Post story. That's not important to you. You're trying to get that group of people out there that just says, yes, let's deport, let's get rid of the criminals.
Despite the fact that it looked like the House was minimally functional at the end of last week before they went on recess, passing several must-do bills, there's new reporting this week showing that Speaker Mike Johnson is barely holding things together. It seems like we are right on the verge that things are coming apart at the seams. There are cross currents under the surface that are imperiling his ability to hold the House together. And it seems to me, Matt, my contention here is that this is a race against time. The midterms are 6 months away. The question now is, can Mike Johnson hold the House together as a functioning unit of our government that long, or not?
It's going to be a disaster for Mike Johnson. This is the time Republicans should actually be putting up legislation they could use to run on, kind of drive back the poison pills against Democrats.
You do
None of
that
that is
traditionally at this point in the cycle, right? Like if you
traditionally
hold the
this point in the
majority,
cycle.
you put up bills that are message bills that you want to run on in 30-second ads in the fall.
Exactly. And that's not happening because Mike Johnson's out there promising everything and doing none of it. And you got conservative leaders who are now up in arms. At the same time, you have people like Nancy Mace who are now releasing the names of payouts in the past, which was 300,000 of payouts that was used by taxpayer money to settle sexual assault claims. And so what's happening and why Mike Johnson has a problem is, first of all, he's horrible as speaker, never should have been speaker, has done a piss poor job. You're angering your own party while the rest of them are trying to tear it apart. And so all you're going to see is more and more dysfunction going on in the next 6 months.
So basically, Republicans are unable to mount even the basic politics 101 tools in their own political defense.
Yes, but it's really being done because if you look at these members, you look at a Nancy Mace, she's running for governor in South Carolina. So what does she want? More headlines, more click. So she's using her position in the House. We are incapable of actually legislating. And it's a real problem for Mike Johnson. Kash Patel has accused the FBI of lying to obtain warrants to illegally spy on Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. And there are reports that a criminal leak pro tied to a journalist who wrote a damning story that he is now going after the reporter and using the FBI to investigate. In any other time, this would be a First Amendment story, but it's barely showing up.
I think insiders correctly recognize that this is the Trump staffer cover your ass self-protection playbook. There's been reporting over the last week, ever since that Atlantic bombshell article detailing Patel's drinking, absenteeism, incoherence, lack of leadership, fundamental misunderstanding of how to do the job leading the nation's top law enforcement agency. Ever since that report came out in the Atlantic, Patel has been on very thin ice. So what do you do in Trump world when you're in this position? You attack Trump's enemies and you play his favorite hits. That's what you do. And so who are his enemies? The people behind the Russia investigation, the media, and leakers. These are hits that Trump played himself when he got in trouble during his first impeachment and during that Russia investigation. That's really what's going on. That's what Patel is going to cast attention and fault elsewhere and just try to white knuckle it through the next 6 months. It's a very revealing sign, and this is a last ditch effort.
Clearly, Patel has an audience of one, and that's Donald Trump. All this, and you're 100% correct on this, is a move we do in politics all the time. You just muddy the water and then you attack. We know Patel is under the microscope. He is going to be fired soon, and this just plays the Trump, and that's what he wants to do.
It's time for what's become our weekly update on the war in Iran, and we have a slightly different angle this week. There seem to be two conflicting things going on over the past 7 days, and I'd really like to get your read on it, Matt. One is news stories detailing profit taking, profiteering, people with inside political knowledge making a lot of money on the gyrations in the market caused by the war with Iran. On the other hand, there's increasing stress and analysis among experts in the know about just how quickly all of this could spiral out of control, how quickly we could have a cascade effect with constrained supplies and depleted stockpiles of things like oil, fertilizer, and key commodities that pass through the Strait of Hormuz.
The Justice Department's at least starting and open an investigation into the trades in the oil market. There's a lot of allegations out there that this is really market manipulation by Trump and that people in the know are taking advantage of it. But we normalize corruption at this point in time. I think the real issue is kind of something a little bit bigger. Congress just can't keep up. I heard somebody describe it the other day as like these companies like Polymarket, they're exploiting the gray area. They're taking advantage of this area before Congress ever catches up. And by the time they catch up, they move on to the next thing. The fertilizer issue is going to catch up. The lack of oil is going to catch up. It goes back to the fact that Congress has continued to stop watching. Stories like this get ignored. American people are just trying to survive and they're watching all their prices go up. And there's real issues at the heart of it that we don't seem to have the answers.
There's a real let them eat cake vibe to people who are very wealthy, living high while the rest of us suffer with high prices. I think that's why the ballroom story is resonating. And now, as you mentioned, we've got these stories nearly $1 billion in crude short positions placed about an hour before Axios reported the US and Iran were close to ending the conflict. Many more stories like that in the billions and billions of dollars. So there are administration insiders, high placed Republicans, MAGA people who are literally making billions of dollars off of the war while the rest of us are let them eat cake. It's a brewing political issue that could cascade.